Hi, and how are you doing? My name is Niyi Odunsi, and this is the dating cycle, helping you succeed in your love relationships. Today, I'm going to be answering a question from a very special lady, and it's the most important question because the answer is all about what we do at the dating cycle. So please pay attention. I'm sure you're going to learn a whole lot as I enter into this discussion with you. Okay, so now this lady is about 25. She's very well educated. She's a virgin. She's never been in any love relationship. Now she wants to start. She wants to start dating, but she wants to be sure that this relationship, whichever she goes into, whoever she picks to go out with, to start a relationship with, she wants to be sure that that's the guy she's going to get married to. And not only get married to, but have a successful and a fulfilled marriage. Okay, so you might say, well, isn't that a tall order? Is it really possible? Well, if you're thinking that way, I can relate with you. The world today is made up of broken dreams, broken homes, broken marriages, broken relationships. So nobody can really blame you if you say, is it possible to just pick one guy and then you have a relationship, a love relationship, and then you get married and you live happily ever after, as it were? Yes, I wouldn't blame you. But you see, life is about making the right choices. Okay? And when you're talking about relationships, love relationships, just like real life, success is not by luck. Success comes by applying success principles. If you want to succeed in your love relationships, you can't depend on luck. Most of the time you find someone, they appear to be happily married, and someone says, oh, he was just lucky, she was just lucky to have picked the right guy, it's this. No, it doesn't work that way. You must apply the right principles, because these are the principles that guarantee success in love relationships, and that is what the dating cycle is all about. At the dating cycle, what we do is teach you how to make the right choices. What we do is give you the right information so that you will make the right choices. We teach you principles that guarantee success in your love relationships. And we deal with people who want to end up with fulfilled and successful marriages. So if that's your motive, if that's your desire, then you're in the right place, because that's all we do. Now, back to this dear lady's question. Now, the point is this. You see, before you start out in a love relationship, you must make up your mind about your goal. Okay? If your goal is to have a relationship that will guarantee that's going to end up in a successful, a fulfilled marriage, then you have to be serious about it from the beginning. You have to be disciplined. A few years back, we came up with the concept of a dating cycle. Okay, we came up, and that's why we go by the name dating cycle, because we came up with that concept, dating cycle, and the concept simply says, for anyone to end up in a successful and fulfilled marriage, then they must go through a progression. They must go through a process. Now, this process is simple, really. You're probably familiar with some of the concepts, okay? But you have to start with friendships. From friendships, you move to dating. From dating, you move to courtship. From courtship, you move to engagement. From engagement, you move to marriage. And then it doesn't end at marriage. From marriage, you go to friendship. Now remember, we started at friendships, but you end up at friendship. Now, a simple way of explaining this to you is, imagine a train. A train starts from a train station. Then it has stops. It goes through several stops until it arrives back at that station. But in this, for the sake of a dating cycle, it arrives at another part of a station. Okay, so let me take you to the board to illustrate what I'm talking about, so it becomes very clear to you indeed. Okay, so now remember, we have a cycle. Okay, and we have different stops. It's like a train that moves like that and then comes back. So we start from here, and what we are having here is going to be what we call friendships. I hope you can see that. I hope it's legible. Friendships. Okay, so we start this way. Yeah. Oh well, not to perfect a cycle, but you get the drift, right? So now we're at friendships. This is the starting point. Okay, we move from here, and then we're going to go to what we call dating. Dating. Okay, so let me put an arrow here, and that shows you the progression. Now, from dating, you're coming here to what we will call courtship. Courtship. Now we're still going this way, right? Then we move from courtship, and we get right here. We're going to come to what we call engagement. Now we're still going this way. That's the progression, going like this clockwise. Okay. So very important stage here, of course, and that is, of course, we're going to have the marriage. Great, making good progress. Now, from marriage, like I said, it doesn't stop here. It's going to stop here. Remember, I said it's another part of the train station, okay? And that's where you have friendship. Okay, just have a look at this. For you to have a relationship that's going to end in a successful marriage, you're going to have to go through this process. My friends, this is the dating cycle. This is what is known as the dating cycle. And what we're simply saying is that for you to have a relationship, a love relationship that's going to end in a successful marriage, a fulfilled marriage, you have to go through the dating cycle. Okay, and you start from friendships. Okay, you move to dating. From dating, you're going to move to courtship. From courtship, you go to engagement. From engagement, you go to marriage. And then you end at friendship. Not friendships, friendship. But I will explain to you the different stages, so you'll understand exactly what the dating cycle entails. Now, when you want to go into anything in life, two major laws, like I've said, law of progression and the law of growth. Now, I understand that the world we live in today is a world of instant. Everything is instant. People can't wait. People are so impatient. They want results just like that, as quickly as possible. But for you to end up, for you to succeed, there is a progression. There is a process. There is growth. And this is the reason why many marriages are failing all over the world, because they won't go through the process. Okay, now even in the Bible, in the book of 1 Peter and chapter 3, Apostle Peter, a married man, the Holy Spirit was telling him, he was talking to husbands, and he said, dwell with your wife according to knowledge. Now that knowledge is gnosis, and that gnosis, that's a Greek word. Gnosis, it's scientific knowledge. Even God expects you to get some knowledge about the person you're going to get married to. You see, if you are going to succeed, you need knowledge, and that's what this is all about, right? So, friendships. What does this mean? Now, from experience, see, I've been there. I can relate with this there lady. I also wanted to get into a relationship that would end in a successful marriage. Okay, so I started out, a few flings, and then I met the lady, the one, and we started off, and well, we moved on. Didn't know much, but we just went on, and it was good until the 6th year. Just when we were thinking about getting married, all hell broke loose. And then that was the end of that relationship. And of course, I was heartbroken. But you see, it was for the best. It was for the best. Because maybe if that hadn't happened to me, I would not be able to relate with people who have broken hearts, who want to get it right. And that's why we came up with this concept of the dating cycle, which is so important. So what I'm going to do now is to start from friendships and briefly explain to you what each stage entails. Now, I must also tell you, you have to be disciplined. You just have to be disciplined. You must keep your eye on the goal. Okay, what you're targeting, what you really want, and that goal, that prize is a successful marriage. Now, you probably know, more than half of the marriages contacted these days end in divorce, and that's just terrible. So you don't want to be a number, you don't want to be one of them. So you put your eye, set your gaze on the goal, and discipline yourself. Get the right kind of information, and that's where we come in at the dating cycle, of course. So let's go to this board again, and we'll be starting from friendships. Okay, this is quite simple. Man is a relational being. Okay, man is a social being. Man wants to mix, he wants to relate. And then, of course, you have the male and the female. It's very important for you, when you're starting out in love relationships, to make up your mind that you want to get involved only in friendships. Nothing exclusive at this stage. You want to make friends. Now, this is crucial because you see, the way you start determines how you're going to end. So if you make a mistake in the friendship stage, then you're not going to make good progress on the dating cycle. So when you're starting out, you discipline yourself and say, I'm going to be involved in friendships. I want to make friends, okay? And of course, not everybody can be your friend. Some will remain your friends, some will stop being your friends. You have to choose your friends. Friendship is not by force. Friendship is by choice. Okay, so now I'm talking about when you're ready for marriage, okay? When you're close to marriage. You don't start out when you're a teenager saying, okay, I want to make friends because I want to get married. No, that may be not helpful to you. So when you're contemplating marriage, we'll talk about when you should get married in another video, but let's assume now you know it's time to get married. Then you want to start out with friendships. You're making friends. Now, friends of the opposite sex. And at this stage, you can go out in groups. You can go out, couples date. You go out with a good friend, and then, let's say you're a lady, you have another lady or your cousin or your sister or someone, and then you go out with one guy and another guy, This helps you not to have the satellite on you. When you're in a crowd, it's difficult for you to feel as if, you're the only one, all eyes are on you, because you could get nervous in such situations. So at this stage, it's just group things. It's just having fun. It's just getting to know people, asking the right questions. You're not thinking about romance. You're not thinking about, is he the one? Is she the one? You're just making friends, because guess what? Some of the friends you're going to make at this stage will end up being friends for life. And I'm talking about friends of the opposite sex. Let's face it, you can't get married to everybody. Okay, you can meet people who you can't get married to, but who can become very good friends with you in life, who could become very helpful, who can be your counselors, your advisors, who you can be counselors, advisors to. So don't just think about serious relationships at the friendship stage. Okay, you go out, You get to know people. Those you like, you keep. Those you don't like, bye-bye. Okay, it's important. Friends will always have a great influence on you. And remember, anytime you need counsel, it's most likely that you'll turn to your friends. So, the value of your friendships will determine, most of the time, the value of the counsel you get in life. Okay, so don't hang around with fools. You hang around with fools, you are going to end up getting foolish counsel most of the time. Okay, now, but we're talking about friends of the opposite sex now. So you're making friends with them, you're getting to know them. The ones you like, they remain your friends. The ones you don't like, well, that's it. That's the end of it. Remember, friendship is by choice. It's not by force. Okay, so now you are at this friendship stage. Now you want to start dating. Okay, and at this stage now, you can be talking about going out with just one person. Now, it's important to have relationships that you go out with people. Now, when you go out with people, it gives you the opportunity to have relaxed atmospheres where you can get to really know people. You know how they think, you know how they behave. Now, I've got to warn you here, because you see, what happens with most people is that at this dating stage, that's when trouble starts. What do I mean? This is when they want to start getting romantic. This is where they're starting to think, well, maybe something exclusive could develop here. This is not the stage. You're just still fishing, as it were. Imagine going to the stream. You want to get a fish to eat or something, and then you want the best one. So, casting your hook, it comes out, you don't like it, you let it go. You don't have to have all of them. You're looking for that special one. So this is what you're doing when you're dating. You're going out with people, you're going to the cinemas, you're going to events, you're going to games, stuff like that. Anywhere you go, restaurants, you're just having a good time. Friends, nothing exclusive. You've got to get that. Because you can't, at this stage, see this your friend now going out on a date with someone else and you get upset. No, there's nothing exclusive. And both of you must understand this. You must let that guy know that there's nothing exclusive. I'm going out with you today. Nothing stops me from going out with another friend tomorrow. Okay? Now, remember you started out friendships. So, many friends. Dating, you're narrowing it down. Let's assume you made 4 friends here. Dating, you're looking at maybe 2 friends. So you like this guy, you went out, you enjoyed the place, you enjoyed the outing. Yeah, you want to go out again next time. Remember now, you are ready to get married. Okay, you're not just catching fun, you're ready to get married. So after this, obviously, you are going to begin to see that you like one guy more than the other. You like one lady more than the other. And then if this feeling is mutual, then you can take it to the courtship stage. And this is the exclusive stage. Okay, this is where you can't say, well, there are more than one of them, and then you say, okay, I can go out with anyone I like. No, that's not going to work. That's not exclusive. Now it's just one person and you are in courtship. And this is a very important stage for someone who wants to have a successful marriage, because this is the stage when you have to get to know each other. Now, when I say know each other, I'm not talking about sexually. I'm not talking about romance. You have to begin to find out if this person is compatible with you. Now, a lot of Christians have challenges in this area. They think, well, is God just going to give me a partner? Will I be involved in the process? A guy comes and says, well, God has spoken and God said, you are my wife or you are my husband. What are you supposed to do? God doesn't expect you to say yes. Just because someone comes and says, God said, you don't have to agree with that person. Tell that person, you're a child of God, God can speak to you, let God speak to me also. Because the courtship stage is a stage at which you have to consider a lot of factors. And the most important one is this: what is the purpose of that guy? What is God's purpose for his life? What is God's purpose for her life? Now, this is assuming that you yourself, you know God's purpose for your life. You know why you exist. You know God's assignment for your life. Now, if you don't know that now, you have to listen to some other videos that I've done talking about how to discover purpose. Because the primary reason why God ordained marriage is for man to have a suitable help, a help meet for him to fulfill God's purpose for his life, and for her to fulfill God's purpose for her life. For each individual that is born into this world, there is an assignment. There is something that only you can accomplish in a particular way that has to do with the gifts, the talents, your temperament. God packaged you as a solution to a problem in the world, and you can't do it alone, so you need help. And that help is going to be the spouse. So when you're in the courtship stage, you have to know, what is that guy's vision? What is their dream? What do they want to accomplish in life? Where do they want to be in 5 years' time? Where do they want to be in 10 years' time? This is the stage of finding out. Okay, discovery. Now, it's not, again, I have to tell you, it's not the stage where you are now saying, okay, I'm going to be kissing, I'm going to be, getting involved in things you shouldn't get involved with. It's not the time for sex. It's not the time for sexual experimentation. Okay, it's the time to be serious, to be focused. It's the time to talk about things and know your interests. It's the time to meet the parents, meet the family. It's the time for everyone to know, okay, there's something going on between you and this guy. And then you proceed from there. And then you're very prayerful. If you're a child of God, you need to be prayerful at the courtship stage. You see, immediately you're finding out that there's some areas of serious disagreement. Then you know this is not the guy for you. Now remember, you're not having sex, you're not getting intimate. If you don't think this is the right guy, then you tell that fellow, I don't think this can continue. And that's it. Okay, it's as simple as that. Because you are heading somewhere. Okay, your goal is marriage and friendship. You are not going to get stuck at the courtship stage. So, if it's not working out, it's time to move on. Okay, if it's working out, congrats, then you're making progress and you're moving on to the next stage, which is what? Engagement. That's the engagement stage. And of course, this is where the serious business starts. This is where you are persuaded that this is a guy, the lady you want to spend the rest of your life with. This is the one, no other. And this is the stage of agreement. This is the stage where both of you must come to an agreement about how you want to live together. This is the stage where you must talk about things like finances, holidays, jobs, number of children, where you want to live, your careers. Now, the main reason why most marriages don't work is because people don't understand that marriage is not only a covenant, it's also a contract. I put it this way to you. How many of you would take up an employment without agreeing as to the terms of employment? They're going to tell you so many things about that employment before you sign the dotted lines. They're going to say, if these conditions are acceptable, then sign here. You're going to read it. You're going to take counsel from people. You're going to want to know. How much is the salary? How much? How many days do I have off? You are going to want to know. Medicals, you are going to want to know. Insurance, you are going to want to know. Are they going to give me a car? Are they going to pay for accommodation? You want to know all those things. And if you're not happy with it, then you say, well, I'm sorry, let's negotiate for something better. If it's not going to work out, then I'm not taking this job. Now, for most people, jobs don't last for these days, maybe 5, 6, 7 years. Not many people spend 20 years in an organization. Now, if you will not go into employment, if you will not sign a contract to be in a place for 5 years, now, why would you go into a relationship that's for a lifetime without having any form of agreement? Just assuming it's all going to work out fine, or because most people get intimate, they get sexual, now they're blinded, they're in love, they have no time to sit and agree on these things, and then they get married and they find that they married the wrong fellow, and then you have a big problem. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Agreement, very essential. And this, of course, is at the engagement stage. This is the stage also where you want to seriously find out about the background of your husband or wife to be. It's very crucial. Don't make assumptions. Okay? I tell you this. If your spouse still has a mother, if you're a guy, you're a man, if that lady is, let's say your person want to marry is 25, the mom is about 50, 55, well, whatever you see in your future mother-in-law, that's what your spouse is going to be come 25, 30 years. So, if you don't like the way your mother-in-law is looking, guess what? Your wife, her daughter, is going to be looking like that come 25, 30 years. That's why I say, go visit with them. Okay? Find out how the future will be. I'll say more about that in another video. This is also the time to be very prayerful. Very, very prayerful. Okay? Only God knows the destiny He has for you. Now, your choice of a life partner will, to a great extent, determine how far you go in life, how successful you are in life. If you end up with the wrong fellow, wow, I pity you. I pity you. So you have to be sure you have the right fellow. And you do that at the engagement stage. This is the time when you set, the marriage date. And if for any reason you are not sure, then please don't go ahead with that marriage. Don't go ahead with it. It's easier to break an engagement than to break a marriage. Okay? Especially where you have kids now. So, if you are not sure, don't be pressured into marriage. Wait until you're sure. And if you see that this cannot continue, it's better to break it up. Like I always say, you'll always meet someone else. You'll always meet someone better. Of course, that's if you are prayerful about it. So, then you move from the engagement. We assume now you're satisfied. Now you've gotten confirmation from your friends, from your family, and everybody knows this is it. Then you move on to marriage. And of course, this is where it all begins, really. Guess what? God does not expect you to marry who you love. He expects you to love who you marry. You will notice I've not spoken about love. In the dating cycle, I've not spoken about love because most people don't understand what love is. There are 3 words, at least 3, translated from the Greek in the New Testament to the English word love. And you have phileo, eros, agape. Phileo is friendship love, brotherly love. Eros, physical love. Agape, of course, the God kind of love. Okay, when you're talking about passion, when you're talking about sensual love, of course that is eros. But when you're talking about agape, the God kind of love, you're talking about sacrificial love. You're talking about divine love. You're talking about everlasting love. And in the book of Ephesians, when God says to the husband, love your wife, he was referring to agape, not eros, not phileo. The three kinds of love are very important in every marriage, but phileo can't sustain a marriage. Eros can't sustain a marriage. Agape is the only one that can sustain a marriage. And God commands the husband, agape your wife. That's why you must be sure before you sign on those dotted lines, you understand what God expects of you. That's why you must go through the process. You see, God expects you to love your wife. But if you have made the right choices, you'll find out you're married to someone who makes it easy for you to love them. Some people can make it very difficult for you to love them. And all your life, you are going to be struggling to love them. You are going to be struggling. But if you have made the right choices, then it's going to be easy to love them. You see, because agape is a choice to love someone in spite of who they are, in spite of what they do. You are committed to loving them. It's a decision of the will and of the intellect. You do this willfully. You do this with all your senses. You are determined to love this person. That is agape. Now, phileo, eros, they can't sustain your marriage. If you're married to someone and they start acting like the devil, then eros is going to die, phileo is going to die. But agape will have to remain. Okay, so you set a date, you're praying, of course, towards that day, that wonderful day when you're going to become man and wife, when the two are going to become one. But like I said, that is just the beginning of it all. That is not the end, that is the beginning. So we live now, marriage state, husband and wife, they've become one. Now the next stage, and indeed the goal of marriage is this friendship. Remember, you started at friendships. Now you're ending at friendship. And this is where your spouse becomes your best friend. Obviously, if you started right, it's not going to be too difficult for your husband or your wife to become your best friend. Remember, you started as friends, and then you moved on, started dating, entered into courtship. It was a kind of, peeling others off. You were deciding who would be the best one for you throughout the process. You did not rush into it. You took your time. So by the time you get here, it's going to be quite easy to have that special one, your spouse, as your best friend. Now, I've had people say to me, well, I told my best friend this, my best friend that. And I'm asking them, are you not married? And they say, yes, I'm married, but my best friend. No, that is wrong. You can't be married and have a best friend. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. You can't go talking your secrets with someone else outside your marriage and say, well, I've known them for 40 years. They're my best friend. That's wrong. Your spouse is your best friend. Okay, your friend will leave you. But your spouse knows anything that happens to them anything that happens to you is going to affect them. Okay, so that's the best person to be best friends with. And that's your goal. Very easy to become best friends with your spouse. Okay, find out, which you're supposed to have done anyway. What makes them tick? What do they enjoy? What do they like doing? Now remember, marriage is about compromise. Compromise. See, let's go back here. Let me explain something important to you. The engagement stage. Now, obviously, you and your spouse, or at the engagement stage, the person you engage to, will not agree on everything. Now, it's going to be a case of degrees, a case of priorities. Now, there'll be some things that you will not agree about. So, what happens? Someone is going to have to compromise. Someone is going to have to think, okay, so let's take, for example, you want to get married to someone and they're saying to you, look, for the first 5 years, you have to stay home and look after the children. Now that's the man telling the woman, you have to be home for 5 years. I don't like taking my kids to daycares and all that. So now you are the wife, you have to decide. You don't want to do that because your career is important. But you discuss, and if he says, look, this is how it must be, then you have to make a decision. Will I agree? Can I go ahead with this? If you can't go ahead, then that's the end of the engagement. It's as simple as that. If your career is so important to you that you say, well, I can't suspend it for 5 years, then that's the end. That's the end. Or someone says to you, well, I want to travel outside Nigeria. As soon as we get married, 2 years stops, I'm out of here. And then you don't, for whatever reason, want to leave Nigeria. So, what's going to happen? Compromise. Well, should we wait for 4 years before leaving? Are we going to stay outside forever? Let's talk about this. But if you find out that the guy says, maximum 2 years, I'm done. And you are thinking, for whatever reason, I can't leave until 4 years. Maybe you're doing a course. And letting go of that, traveling will be not finishing that course. And then you're saying, look, I have to finish this course. And the person says, well, I don't care. Then, obviously, you know you haven't found the right person. So this is what I'm talking about, because your marriage is going to be all about compromise. You're going to learn how to compromise, how to negotiate. That's what makes marriages work. You can't insist on your way all the time and expect to have a happy marriage. But you've learned, and you see, you're learning this right from here. That's where this progression comes in. That's where this maturity, growth comes in. Follow through this, and by the time you get here, you're married to your best friend. Okay? No pressures, no surprises. I always say, you marry the man or woman of your dreams, you might wake up married and find out it's a nightmare. There's nothing like the man of your dreams. There's no perfect person anywhere. It's all about being mature, being patient, being able to compromise, to negotiate, being able to think about the other person's interest first. Okay? Two of you are coming together to make a better life. And that's what marriage is all about. So, this is what the dating cycle is about. Now you'll say to me, how is it possible? How long is this going to take? I can't tell you how long it's going to take. It will take as long as it needs, as long as it's required for you to be sure that you're ending up with your best friend. Okay, so to this dear lady, I have your answer for you. It is possible to start a relationship and end up in a successful and fulfilled marriage, but you must go through this process. And as you go along with us on the dating cycle, obviously I can't say everything in just one video. There's so much to learn. When we're talking, for example, about this courtship stage, there are up to 80, 90 questions that you must ask and get answers to before you can move on to the engagement stage. Okay, so as we move along, I'll begin and continue to talk about many of the things. Okay, and we'll have opportunities to answer more of your questions. So please ask your questions, send it to the WhatsApp number, chat only. And then, of course, if you're on Facebook, like our page and subscribe on YouTube so that anytime we have new content, you will get it straight away. If you love the video, you like what you've heard, also share so that other people can learn what you've learned today. And especially if you're in a relationship and you're listening to this, definitely your partner needs to hear this. Okay, so make sure you share it with them. God bless you and thank you for listening to me.